Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Okay, welcome to Chassidus. Good morning, everybody. Continuing on in Kuntres HaTefila. Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to finish the parak today, chapter 12, and move on to the next point, the next chapter. Okay, so basically what we've been talking about in the last few days is a need to learn Chassidus in a way that it really is important to us, means to us, and the Rebbe Rashab is essentially talking about an issue that people don't connect with the Chassidus and not really applying themselves to the Chassidus. And the reason why is because they're not connected to it. And he says essentially the reason is because they don't realize that we've got to work on ourselves. And they come into the Chassidus, maybe we feel ulterior motives, so to speak. Maybe they like it, it's enjoyable, but not because they realize that they need to do tshuva, meaning a return, needing to get close to God, and they don't feel the distance necessarily, and they don't feel that there's anything lacking within themselves. So therefore, if nothing's lacking, what do I need to work on? So therefore, the Chassidus is not really related to me. And like I said, the story, if we think Tanya is talking about a person I'm never shaykh to be coming, so then the whole book, it doesn't mean anything to me. And whereas when we start to learn Tanya or any sefer in Chassidus, as this is talking to me, my life and my situation, and how I can change myself and work on myself and become the person who I'm meant to be, so then everything is much different. And this is what we're talking about. And one of the main points he said is because they weren't born into this lifestyle, and a lot of the things that we do, it could be good, but it's just naturally how we were brought up and not because we worked on ourselves. And ultimately, we have to work on ourselves. Continuing on page 122 at the bottom, the malady and its effect. The true cause of this malady is that he was not trained in his youth and childhood in matters of Chassidus. 124, my mistake. 124 at the bottom. Yeah. The remedy, tshuva. Now, the true remedy for this disease is to reach a genuine awakening of tshuva from the innerness and depth of one's heart. One's materialistic nature should be broken. So in order to be able to get to this level of wanting to learn Chassidus properly and wanting to apply yourself to Chassidus and really learn it, is to do tshuva, meaning break oneself. Doesn't mean to make ourselves feel bad or like depress ourselves, God forbid. It's to recognize that we're not living our lives to the fullest in the way it could be. And we could be living so much better lives, so much more connection with God and connection with the people around us. And really, it's like, to use a simple example, if we're on our phones all day, we're not having true relationships. And that's what he's saying. We have to realize that we're not living the lives the way we should. And when we realize this, and it's like, whoa, I want my life to be much better. I could have a much better life. Then we start learning Chassidus properly. I.e., through designating a good hour at close intervals, during which time one engages in a soulful reckoning of all his youthful transgressions, of all the particulars concerning his interest and activities, and of all his thoughts, speech, and deeds that were not devoted to God in proportion to one's awareness of his own blemishes and pains. So you pay attention to all the mistakes you've done. Now, he's talking about the Chassidim that were brought up religious, probably. So they don't have a lot of, so their lifestyle is very different. So they should have done better. So for us, it's not, I don't think we should be sitting there looking at our past reckonings as we were young. We didn't know any better, but it's more recognize that we're not living our lives to the fullest. And am I living up to the standard that I would like to live up to? Things like that. When he prolongs this and makes an honest accounting between himself and his maker, as explained above, we talked about one of the 5 steps, his spirit will be shattered and he'll be stirred to do tshuva. So the goal here is to realize that Chassidus has the ability to help me live a different life. And that's the goal. Here he's saying how to achieve that in his situation and his crowd he's talking to is through soulful reckoning, an hour, and in close intervals. Now for us, not necessarily, and if it works for you, you do it. But if it doesn't work for you, it essentially we have to understand the point. The point is that we want to realize that we want to live more connected lives. And how do we do that? Learning Chassidus. And so we can sit there and say, hey, is my life going as good as it could be? And I noticed that I don't really care about davening and learning, and Shabbos is not as exciting as it used to be. Whoa, I want that to change. So come, let me go learn Chassidus. And that's what you need to do. That's it. Also, a person ought to afflict himself through fasting, and on each fast day, you should make the aforementioned reckoning and other means of mortification to refine the substance. And he's saying another thing that we should diminish our pleasures, or in his case, he's talking about fasting, which nowadays the Rebbe talks about it in terms of giving tzedakah. But again, the purpose is not to pain yourself as much as to diminish. It's like I really want sugar and really want to lose weight, but I have a ton of cakes and cookies and all these and ice cream in my fridge and in my cupboard. So it's not you're fighting against yourself. So the first thing you should do is get rid of all those things, and that's sort of what he's saying. When you're doing these self mortifications, you're trying to diminish you're sort of it's a reset button for yourself. You're trying to diminish if you always eat sugar, then by nature you keep on wanting to have it. See if you come and you say to yourself, for the next week I'm not going to have sugar. You're not trying to suffer. You're just trying to reset yourself so you can have that clarity. I think there's that cleansing diet, I forget what it's called, and it's like a 30-day diet that you eat all these different things, and it's basically to reset your palate to start being able to make the right choice. And this is the same thing. You're fasting not to like punish yourself, but because you're trying to reset yourself and not be so caught up in the food or in the things. Whole 30. Yeah, exactly. So this is sort of like a whole 30. And other means of modifications to refine his substance. And the purpose of it is to refine yourself, is to stop being so grub, because that's what's getting you in this problem in the first place. In the vernacular, in Yiddish, to become innately more refined. Exactly. You're becoming, guys, in Yiddish, B'lashon Yiddish, ezalvern be'etzim edla. You become more refined. That's what you're trying to do. You're not trying to punish yourself. You want to come out of this fasting or whatever you do as a more refined individual. For by means of self-mortification, the evil within him will slowly be displaced. This is the meaning of diminishing one's fat and blood, as explained also, as explained in Tanya, that the purpose of it is to take the Yetzer Hara and to diminish it. So it's not taking so much control of your life. And automatically, when you eat less or you eat healthier and you make those better choices, he becomes less. In this way, the person becomes more receptive to an awakening of tshuva and to be a broken heart. Now help us come to do tshuva, to connect to the Chassidus more, want to learn, and suddenly use the Chassidus like, and that would be like that enjoyment. In addition, he ought to accept indignities from others. This is a beautiful concept. I'll say it outside in short, and then we'll discuss it inside, and then we'll bring it back a little bit. Basically, what he's saying is, when someone comes and tells you something that you're not doing something right, you should take it. You should take it, enjoy it, and learn what you can learn from it. So I want to discuss this a little bit after. In addition, he ought to accept indignities from others without response. For through the distress suffered by such, so it's uncomfortable. Someone's telling you, hey, you're not doing something good. Well, it's not, you shouldn't be behaving that way. And it's like, who are you to? So that's the natural tendency is like, who are you to tell me what to do? Look at you. He's saying, don't respond. You listen, you take it. Indignities, the light of his soul will shine forth. And when you do that, if you take that, you'll see how much better your life can become. I.e., the tzura within him will dominate the chemer. So the tzura and chemer essentially, it literally means tzura is the form, and the chemer is the substance. It's like you have the plastic and the cup. The tzura is the cup, and the chemer is the substance, is the plastic. So the tzura is within us. So the chemer is like our body, and the tzura is like our thoughts and emotions and things like this. So our thoughts and emotions will change. The tzura within him will dominate the chemer, meaning our bodily desires will be dominated by our emotional intelligence and our thoughts. Since the latter has been broken, because the body has been broken, and when someone comes and tells you something that you don't enjoy, so it breaks you. But that breaking is coming, we're saying taking it in the right way, so that breaks that feeling, and then you're in charge, then the person in charge, Nafshel Kiss, can take control and make those decisions. So therefore, become a vessel for godly light, that it illuminate and dwell in the innerness of his soul. The true receptivity to the light of the inner godliness comes about specifically through having a broken heart. As a teaching, the secrets of the Torah are conveyed only to a person whose heart is apprehensive within him. So through having that broken heart, through feeling humbled, or in this case, you're feeling a little bit vulnerable because someone has just told you off. But when you take that in the right way, that opens you up. And a person whose heart is innately, So we'll start with 1 second. So what is he saying? This is a very important point. He's saying, essentially, we should be able to take criticism from other people. So I thought about this when I was learning it, and I'm like, how does that work? I think the point is we have to realize, and this is a very important point, is that this is based off having relationships with people. We have to have the ultimate goal, the success that you would have is when you have friends that you feel comfortable enough and you care about them enough that you can tell them what they need to hear. The challenge of now is we're not in touch with people. We're not really close to anyone. We don't really care about people enough. And what's the proof we don't care about them enough is that we can't tell them. And the Chassidic brotherhood that we're trying to accomplish here and that is based off is close friendships. And those close friendships is not just we'll smile at each other, but it's we can tell each other what needs to be told when it needs. But in order to do that, you have to, if you don't feel comfortable doing that and you feel you're going to offend them, so that means we're not on a good enough relationship. Whereas we have to work on those relationships, and have good, true, meaningful relationships to the point where you can come to your friend and you say, yeah, it's beautiful. We'll just finish it off. It's doing good. And good timing. And a person whose heart is innately anxious, that is, he's downhearted by nature. He's truly, naturally brokenhearted, is a receptacle of God's light. So being that he's always a little bit uncomfortable and always like, I'm not doing good enough, like this, as much as it's not necessarily a good lifestyle, but it helps him in regards to godly light, being a receptacle for it and being able to receive it. Nevertheless, although not downhearted by nature, a person can bring upon himself a broken heart through the methods described above. Whereas if we're not brokenhearted, meaning we feel we're good, we're perfect, everything is good, I don't need anything, I'm fine. So therefore, we're not going to be receptacle to receiving the godly light. But we can still break ourselves, meaning recognize within ourselves and be honest with ourselves and say, hey, life is not so perfect, and there's plenty I could work on, there's plenty I need help with, and let's connect with that, and let's try to connect to God. And to the extent that his spirit and heart are troubled, will there be the degree of his receptivity to godly light. And the more you realize you need God in your life, and the more you make yourself open for it, the more it will come, that it may dwell within him. Summary: some people study Chassidus but can't readily absorb it. Moreover, owing to their lack of spiritual sense perception, they feel complete. The remedy is tshuva, to break one's coarse materialistic nature. Beautiful. And just so what we're saying is that there's an issue that people say, I look at this, but it doesn't mean anything to me, it doesn't connect with me. So first of all, the two main issues he's saying is because you don't look, so this is just something talking to you. Just an idea, an idea. So that's the first problem. And the second problem is that we feel complete and whole, and we feel with nothing. This is nothing to add to my life. My life is fine, it's perfect, I'm good. We might not say that, we might say no, but deep down within us, we that's how we feel. We don't think about it, and so therefore we don't know. So this is like, come, let me help. Let's get this to help me in my life. So through recognizing that, hey, being honest with ourselves, saying, hey, there's plenty I can work on, plenty I need to work on, and my life could be a lot better, and my connection to God is not as it should, and spend some time recognizing that. So then you'll come to learn Chassidus a whole different way. And when you learn the Chassidus in a way that you say, it's talking to me, and what am I meant to learn from this? In the beginning, it might be difficult because, maybe you haven't experienced this before. But you stick with it. I can tell you from experience, you stick with it, and you'll start to get it, and it will be life-changing, it will be beautiful. Amazing. Thank you for joining. Everyone have a great day. And tomorrow we start chapter 13. Tell me what I need to hear. And they will tell you, and you'll take it with love. You'll give them a hug. You say, thank you so much. And let's forring about it. And that's a real forring. We can come sit there and you can tell each other things to be told. You're not coming to tell them from this place that you are better than them and they're nobody's, and I'm going to show you. You're coming because you really care about the person and you really care about your friend, and your friendship has been built so strong so you can tell them. And this will help you so much in your life, because think about it. We cover over all our iniquities and all our problems someone else can see the problems. But imagine that someone else knows your problems, knows how you could have a much better life if you just would change, but they don't feel comfortable telling you. It's a problem with you and it's a problem with them. Our relationship is not in the level that you can tell me. I wish, and I don't really have them, besides my wife, but I'm saying my friendship, I haven't built it enough for that to happen. And I wish it was different. And I think this is like a great goal to achieve, get some friends, like we're going to stick together and we're going to build a relationship. We care about each other enough to the point that when I see something wrong, I'm going to come and tell you because I care about you. And because you know that I care about you, you're going to take it. And it's going to help me so much in life.